Dear participants of Lumen Congress on Multidimensional Education, let us present our research on the topic Cadets' cognitive independence as a leading factor of their successful training. Modern society puts forward new requirements for the personality of a professional, requires him or her to have the ability to adequately and quickly respond to innovations and changes. An important requirement for the personality of a modern specialist is the ability to make decisions quickly and effectively and take responsibility for their consequences. All this requires from specialists the ability to find answers to problematic issues in the shortest possible time, to independently navigate in the multitude of information, to look for the most reliable and authoritative sources. The main components of professional achievements of a personality are the following: the ability to effective communication, harmonious self-concept, a certain level of development, our cognitive processes and business qualities provide for a high level of cognitive independence. Such components of the formation of the personality of modern specialists as orientation, professional competence, and professionally important qualities are also impossible to imagine without a high level of cognitive independence. So, it's impossible to develop such criteria because without development of this phenomena of the personality. The present puts forward fundamentally new requirements for the qualifications of modern law enforcement officer, his or her moral maturity, general cultural and intellectual levels. In order to successfully perform his or her service and civic duty, a law enforcement officer must be an educated, highly cultured person, possess deep professional knowledge and skills in various fields, as well as be able to constantly improve his or her level of knowledge and skills. That is why the cognitive independence of personality of a law enforcement cadet should be considered as an integral factor in successful training and further professionalism. The issue of cognitive independence of cadets as a factor of successful training and their further professional activities remains insufficiently disclosed today. The importance of cognitive independence in the formation of a modern law enforcement specialist during training and insufficient coverage of this problem in the scientific literature led to the choice of our research topic. That is why the aim of our research is to study the peculiarities of cadets' cognitive independence and determine its role in the training process. Our empirical research involved 132 fourth-year cadets who studied at the National Academy of Internal Affairs, Kyiv, specialty law. The expert assessment of the cadets was conducted by the specially created expert group of 12 people. The research methods were used by us are the following, such as theoretical analysis and generalization of scientific and methodological literature, documents and results of educational activities, observation, questionnaires, expert assessment methods, methods of mathematical statistics. Assessments of cadets' cognitive independence was carried according to 4 components: goal-motivational, content-operational, emotional-volitional, and evaluative, using the following tools: the author's questionnaire to identify the attitude of cadets to the need to develop cognitive independence in the training process, methodology for determining the motivation of success and fear of failure, methodology for diagnosing the volitional potential of the personality, and methodology of determining their level. Assessment of the level of fondness of the goal-motivational component of cadets' cognitive independence shows that most cadets understand the importance of their own cognitive activities for successful training. According to the results, as you can see on the table, of using the methodology for determining the motivation of success and fear of failure, it was found that the average cadet corresponds to a clear trend of motivation to success. In particular, 57.6% respondent have a high level of motivation, which in its content is a positive motivation and corresponds to the motivation to success. This type of motivation should be considered constructive and the most acceptable in educational activities. To study the content operational component of cognitive independence of the cadet's personality, we also used the author's questionnaire aimed at identifying the attitude of personalities to the need to develop cognitive independence in the training process. It was found in the course of the questionnaire that the awareness of the need to develop cognitive independence is within the average level. Although the ideas about the need to develop the respondents' own cognitive independence in our sample are mostly at high level, 54.6%, almost half of the respondents are characterized by a low and average level of these ideas. Diagnostics of the emotional-volitional component of cadets' cognitive independence was carried out using the diagnostic of the volitional potential of the personality methodology, as evidenced by the following indicators. About half of the respondents, 48.5%, are characterized by an average level of willpower development. The essence of this is that such persons show their own willpower depending on the need, that is, they begin to act only when they face a certain obstacle. In such a case, if it is possible to avoid the obstacle and not to show their own volitional activities, then such a way out of the situation becomes dominant. Such cadets as a rule show a sufficient level of responsibility, although with minimal energy costs for themselves. A third of the respondents, 33.3%, are characterized by a low level of willpower. Among a variety of activities, such cadets choose mainly those that do not require significant physical or intellectual effort, those that arouse their interests. To diagnose the feature of the evaluative component of cognitive independence, we used the methods of determining the level of self-esteem. A high level of self-esteem is inherent in more than half of the respondents, 57.6%. Higher education applicants with this level of self-esteem are characterized by adequate behavior. In particular, they show adequacy in response to critical comments of others. In such a case, such subjects fully assess their own potential capabilities, which is confirmed by the correlation analysis, because we were able to determine the presence of an inverse correlation between the cadets' academic performance and peculiarities of their self-esteem. As for the conclusions of cadets' cognitive independence is a stable personal trait aimed at his or her independent cognitive activities, independent mastering and deepening of his or her own knowledge in the professional field, skills and abilities to independently solve specific problems. The productivity of cadets' cognitive activities is directly dependent on the gnostic abilities of the personality, which determine the speed, quality, and effectiveness of their cognitive independence. Cadets' cognitive independence covers the following components: goal-motivational, content operational, emotional-volitional, and evaluative, according to our presentation and the results of our research. It is inextricably linked with their further professional self-realization and is manifested on three levels: professional, self-determination, training in the chosen specialty, individual development, and personal formation. The obtained indicators generally characterize modern cadets of higher educational institutions with a specific learning environment as having a predominantly high level of cognitive independence, which can positively influence the process of their training and, consequently, their further professional activities. We also observe a close relationship between the success of personality in the training and his or her cognitive independence. This gives the right to assert that cognitive independence is an important factor in successful training activities. Dear participants, thank you for your attention.